Did you see Mack Brown postgame on the ACC network?
I did not.
Okay, so I'm pulling this up on the ACC network Twitter account. Hopefully, it doesn't get flagged for monetization on YouTube, but it is.
I learned that lesson yesterday.
So, oh, did you?
Mm-hmm.
So here's Mack Brown in the middle of the field rush on the ACC network. It's about a minute long, and you can hear Mack Brown getting emotional.
Good luck.
The coach, last time we were here at midfield, it was an overtime win in week 2. Seems to be making a habit of it this time against your biggest rival. What did you see out of your team to pull this one off in the end?
Well, great game. Tremendous fight by both teams. Nobody gave up. Nobody really lost. So proud.
You're so emotional right now. What are those emotions about?
Well, they're about, you want your kids to fight. You want your kids to compete. You want your kids to feel good about themselves, and these kids did all that tonight. And this win will do so much for us.
The victory bell. You know the significance of the victory bell. You've been here for 2 stints. You've been a part of these rivalries. What does it mean to beat Duke?
It's the most important thing we do. If you're going to be here, you got to beat Duke.
Congratulations, Coach. Enjoy this one.
So watching that, to tie it back to basketball, my first thought in watching that was Roy Williams kissing the court on his way out in the last game. That's what that was to me. Mack Brown's done. This is my theory. I know I'm not trying to give you some sort of insider information. I'm just picking up with what we know and how coaches are and how they get. That right there tells me he's done. Because you pointed this out last week with Mack Brown when you were looking at the numbers closely. He likes to bring up, well, remember where we were when I got back here. 2 wins. Never mind how it was when Larry Fedora first got here. Never mind that he's on track to do essentially what Butch Davis was doing and everything else. He was already setting up his legacy. Mack Brown's going to leave North Carolina one way or the other as the greatest coach to have ever coached North Carolina football. Hard stop. Hard stop. All right? Why are you making a face? Why are you making a face?
Without ever winning a conference championship?
Yes. When I say North Carolina football, what's your thought going to be? It ain't Charlie Choo-Choo Justice, man.
I guess I never thought of it in those terms.
He is going to leave North Carolina as the most successful North Carolina football coach ever, even without a conference title to his name. Now, they got a division. They've got their New Year's Six bowl game, yada, yada, yada. But when it's all said and done, in terms of recruiting, fan interest, all the things that you associate with North Carolina football, he is it. I really would like an argument against. All right. The other thing to look at,
I think Bunning would tell you his coach Bill Dooley, but
no, we're talking. Come on, man. Let's talk.
No,
modern football.
I'm just saying.
No, I know what you're saying.
Yeah,
I know what you're saying.
No, in terms of the win-loss record, for sure.
So I was catching up with our old friend Ross Martin in Detroit. Ross used to work for Inside Carolina.
Dick Crum had some kind of run early too. Wow.
What year are we going back to Bear Bryant 1957?
No, I didn't. Listen, I'm just looking at it now. I'm just reacting in real time here. They had a 4-year stretch in a row where they finished in the AP top 20. 4 years in a row.
Yep. Different time of football.
Mack,
it was a different time of football.
Mack in his 2 different stints has never done that.
So
he also won the ACC in 1980.
So here's the thing.
Oh yeah.
I was talking to Ross, our old friend.
Yes, the big dog.
I'm talking to the big dog in Detroit. He's in Michigan now. So we caught up and we were talking about some things, talking about Carolina. And you know me, like I'm not like hardcore into recruiting. And I brought it up to him, like, you think Mack's done? He's like, I don't know. I can see it either way. But I said, well, who's coming up next year? He's like, I don't know, man. Because if you go look at the classes, it's not what you would typically associate as a Mack Brown recruiting class. So it's going to go one of two ways. You tell me which seems more plausible for Mack Brown. He's going to hang it up regardless of how the NC State game goes. He's going to point to all the success markers that he's brought to North Carolina and call it a day. Or he's going to go through another 3-year cycle with this next recruiting round. Again, this upcoming year is not so great, but we know that college football is different now, and you can go get guys in the portal. But there's going to be more staff changes. I can't envision a scenario where Gene Chizik's coming back. Salute to North Carolina for winning that game in double overtime, and they actually closed the deal when the last 2 weeks, they weren't able to do it. But I was hanging out with some of the hockey dads. One of the guys, Lee, who's a big UNC guy, we were watching the game in the lobby in the third quarter, and I just made a joke to the dads there. I said, wake me up in the fourth quarter, because that's when things get real for North Carolina. And sure enough, what happened? They were up 2 scores in the third quarter. And Brownlow even texted me during the watch back. She's like, I know the result, and I knew in the third quarter, regardless of being up double digits, that they were still going to find a way to make this interesting. So I don't see Gene Chizik coming back. So you tell me what's more plausible. Mack Brown wrapping it up after this year, or going through another 3-year recruiting cycle with no obvious QB in the bag at age 72.
Yeah, I would just say to you at age 48, I feel extremely old. I can't imagine at 72 being like, you know what? Let's do this again. And it's not in a negative way.
No, it's not in a negative way.
The way that he came back after the absence from, the way that it ended in Texas, I'm sure he was not happy about.
Yeah.
You go to ESPN, he enjoys the success, and let's be honest, he could have done ESPN for the rest of his life. He could
Easily.
he could go back tomorrow to ESPN. He would be the face of the ACC network tomorrow.
Thank you. I was going to say, he could be on the ACC network and crush it
tomorrow. And that's a much easier life than, chasing after recruits. And, the emotion there you see is when, we could take this as a father, right? You don't even need to take it as a coach. When you get so disappointed in your kids, which you would,
of course,
the Georgia Tech game, like you'd watch that fourth quarter being like, this is like looking at Jackson's report card.
It's like, we've talked about this.
Like, what the hell is going on here?
Like, how many times we need to go over
and then this would be, the midterm comes in and look, he's got B's and C's. And you're like, yes. I would be moved to tears. Yeah. Now, I only have 2 more years of worrying about Jackson's grades to do, right?
Yeah.
But I'm not re-upping for that shit. Like, that's the thing. You had Sam Howell, who was great for them. And he really, he got Willie Taggart fired. Okay. No, straight up flipping from Florida State to Carolina. You got fans back interested in Carolina football. You had just national interest again in Carolina football after it was down at epically low levels. And now you have Drake May, who, they should have won more this year than they did. Again, he is their Phillip Rivers. We'll look back at it and go, man, he was great, but what do you have to show for it?
Right.
But that's just me being a little bit of a jerk right now. You had 2 good quarterbacks. You had a nice run in 5 years.
Yeah.
You put the Texas bad taste out of your mouth. You understand, hey man, I came back and did this, and you've set up Carolina, and you've set up Bubba Cunningham now to go and hire a really good, probably younger coach.
Yep.
As we just saw with Bubba hiring Aaron Matson, he is not afraid to go young. You go, you get somebody, you set yourself up, and you set the program up, and that's a great legacy to have. We've talked often about Mike Krzyzewski and that transition to John Shire. I bet you it bothers Mac that the program fell apart the way that it did when he left in 98.
Yes.
In 97. I bet you that really bothered him to see what had happened to the program.
It's part of the pull to come back.
Yeah. So I think that would be a second part of this. And, he would be instrumental in whoever they end up hiring. And I've also given away the best idea possible for Carolina, and that is make Mack Brown the head of your NIL collective.
Oh, easily.
Like,
you crush it.
Over.
Oh my
over.
Goodness. They'd be on Texas A&M levels of money at that point.
Over.
Good Lord. That would be incredible. So yeah,
these are all easier alternatives, by the way, than to coming back, slogging through it, maybe going into the portal, getting the right guy. Who the hell knows?
Which is why I think it's a wrap. And Mack Brown has everything to be proud of when he walks away from North Carolina.